Hello. And the day will continue with Temptations Ballad. Market District. Spowell's Roost Inn and Tavern. Okay, so can I be real with you guys? Sid visited with a hint of embarrassment as the three of them approached the Spowell's Roost Inn and Tavern. This is a little embarrassing, but I really like you guys, and I want to look cool when I'm around you. But my parents could be a little coddling sometimes, and it makes me look like a big lame baby. So, I know what you mean. Don't worry about it, big guy. Every embarrassing thing they say will be held against you. That's not what I'm asking for. Okay, listen. Just do me a favor and look away whenever my mom pinches my cheek or tries to fix my hair or something. I got a reputation to uphold. Does your mother fawn over you often? All the time. I'm a grown man now. I can take care of myself. But of course, I'm not gonna say no to my own mother, so just be cool about it, okay? Delicious smells of stews and assorted snack foods wafted through the open window of Sparrow's Roost as they neared. Cole felt his mouth water at the savory scents and took a deep, hungry sniff. Wow, so this is what a real functioning tavern is like. Look at that, waiter serving actual food that's not Hammer's city cooking. I can't believe you get to live here, man. I mean, it's nothing compared to growing up with the greatest mercenary in history. Who cares about that? I want good food. Felt his belt sift as malice slithered up out of his pocket and flirted his tongue in the air curiously. My, what is that heavenly scent? It is utterly intoxicating. Puny mortal, we must investigate this immediately. Whoa, boss, a massive snake just crawled out of your loincloth. Cole winked. Which one? I got two. You can pet it if you want. Huh? Cole, I didn't realize you summoned two snake familiars. I don't believe I've seen the one. I don't believe I've seen the second one before. Where is it? Cole sighed, tired. One of these days, we'll teach you about innuendos. He turned back to said, anyway, I summoned this talking snake familiar accidentally. Kinda. It came out a little dumb, though. Excuse me. Sid grinned, delighted. That's so cool. I got a little animal companion, too. Meet Betsy. She's been a real pal to me for the past few years. A really good listener, too. Cole squinted at the patch of grass Sid was excitedly gesturing towards. A rather large round toad in the exact shape of a potato glanced back with wise and unblinking eyes. The rotund amphibian was as still and unmoving as the stone it was basking upon. Is that thing still alive? Yep. I fed her some table scraps this morning. She really likes the leftover cheese from my dad's cheese shop. That explains why it's so ridiculously round. Sid approached the toad and bowed deeply. It is an honor to meet you, Lady Betsy. Ribbit. Ah, she speaks. Cole, don't be rude. Say hello. I'm not bowing to the damn frog. You don't have to. Betsy doesn't really talk. Wait, is this just a random frog you found off the ground? It's not familiar at all, is it? Hey, Betsy has been a dear family friend for years. She's always in the same spot in front of our house every day and night. Are you sure this thing ain't dead? Malice slithered down Cole's leg and squinted at Betsy with dismay. Do you think these mortals are comparing me to a disgusting vermin like you? Do not look so smug, mortal trash. I could end you in an instant. Bessie peered back at Malice, completely unmoving. Well, mortal, do not ignore your superior. Bessie simply stared back blankly. Malice shivered and subtly retreated. Such resolve, such stoicism. I could see it in your deep, dark eyes. You're filled with wisdom far beyond your years. Very well, mortal. You have won my begrudging respect. Are you fucking kidding me? Why does this fry get more respect than I do? You shall earn your respect when you learn to act with dignity, puny mortal. I concur with your familiar's advice. You should heed its wisdom, Cole. Though you are a man of good merit, you could do with a more dignified code of honor. I don't need your sass, Nighty. I know you're still salty about yesterday. Autumn blinked blankly. I don't believe I consumed an excessive amount of salt in my diet. Should I be worried? Cole sighed and rubbed his temples. He was suddenly hit with the realization that he was surrounded by a group of lame nitwits. How did his life come to this? With a grumble, Cole yanked Malice back into his pocket before dragging everyone through the tavern door. Alrighty, enough with the animal show and tell. Didn't you say there would be free food? Upon close inspection, Sparrow's Roof's tavern was almost the exact opposite of the Bone Breakers Guild in almost every tavernous way. The place was clean and well lit, with polite waiters bustling about serving relaxed customers. Mouth-watering food and drink was steaming from every table. The complete lack of drunken shouting almost felt like whiplash. Sid glanced between his companions with nervous anticipation. Welcome to my home. My family lives on the second floor here. It's not much compared to the Baumburger's Guild and the Grand Cathedral, but it's cozy enough. Are you kidding me? This place is perfect. The floors are clean, and I can actually hear myself talk without shouting. I should come here, visit more often, though this place might be a bit too family-friendly for me. Really? You think so? I never thought too much of it. Sid felt Autumn shuffle behind him nervously. The young knight was peering about her surroundings like a cornered animal. Is Miss Swikewood here? I do hope to make a good first impression. As Autumn anxiously shuffled about, her elbow knocked a vase off a nearby table. The sharp sound of shattering glass cut through the quiet tavern like a knife. Dozens of workers and patrons glanced up in her direction. Autumn felt her entire body freeze up. She stared back stiffly like a frozen deer. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Oh, Sid, you're here already. Why didn't you say anything? A pair of small birds hurriedly fluttered down the stairs and greeted them with giddy laughter. Autumn and Cole stared blankly. They had expected to meet a pair of tall, hulking badgers like Sid. This was certainly a surprise. Hello. It's wonderful to finally meet you two here. Welcome to our humble little tavern. Sid has told us all about you. The older man beamed at Autumn and Cole with uncontained joy. By the greater, it's true. Well, non-frog friends. The two parents exchanged triumphant high fives behind their backs. Oh, well, my manners. We're all manners. I'm Elia, and this is my husband, Bennett. Autumn stiffened before bowing deeply. Greetings, I am Autumn Johanna Gontier. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Elia and Bennett simultaneously let out a smitten ah. What a polite young lady. A real-life holy knight under our roof. What a delight. Look at that shiny sword and armor. Oh, this is wonderful. Autumn felt her face flush. She awkwardly shuffled behind Sid with a timid bow. Sid offered her an embarrassed smile and sweat. Sorry, my parents can be a little smothering sometimes. They mean well, though. Audrey gave a small nod. I understand. I was just taken by surprise, that's all. Meanwhile, Elia had moved on to pinching Cole's cheeks like he was a child. You must be the son of the legendary mercenary that Sid's always prattling about. My, you're as cute as a button. Hey, hands off. I take it that you are the leader of this little adventuring party? Thank you so much for taking care of our little Sid. It's good to know he is in the capable hands. Mom. Sid's face was a deep pink as he pried Cole out of his mother's pincy clutches. You're embarrassing me. That's cool. Did you say you were gonna make snacks for everyone and stuff? Oh, how could I forget? Elia's been fussing over food prep all morning. You're all in for a treat. Come on, join us upstairs. The two birds beckoned them eagerly. Audrey cleared her throat and raised her hand with a hint of guilt. Before we go, she gestured towards the pile of broken ceramic on the floor. I accidentally knocked over your vase on my way in. My deepest apologies. I understand if you no longer wish for me to join your gathering. Elia let out an amused cackle. Oh my goodness, what a sweetie pie. Don't even worry about it. I deal with worse from my regulars. She flicked a feathered hand towards the broken pieces, sparks of magic simmering from her fingertips. Mending. And just a glow filled the ceramic swords. They suddenly shuddered and began puzzling themselves back together. Cole watched in amazement. With another flash of light, the cracks of the ceramic sealed themselves. The surface of the vase simmered with a polished sheen as good as new. Whoa, that's amazing. It's nothing much really, just some basic bartered magic. Elia peered close at Chloe, her smile widened. If my senses are not deceiving me, I believe I see a fellow bard within you. A wave of panic suddenly hits Cole. What? What are you talking about? I don't know any magic. Behind him, Sid was frantically making a time-out gesture at his mother. Elia was taken aback for a moment before smiling. Oh, I see. Your secret is fake for me. I don't know what your reasons are for hiding your gifts, but let me assure you that you should be proud of your bardic abilities. It is an elusive and cunning class of magic. Cole cleared his throat loudly. Well, Miss Swicewood, did you used to be a bard? The magical kind, mean? Why, yes. I used to get into all sorts of trouble in my younger days as a traveling bard. If you like, I can teach you some of the tricks I know. Excitement fluttered in his chest even as Cole attempted to swallow it back down. That would be great. I mean, if I were a magical bard, that would be really cool. But I'm not, so, yeah. Rennet suddenly clapped his hands and gestured towards the stairs. That's enough standing around. The food's gonna get cold. Let's hurry up and eat. Cole's mouth watered as he shoveled another helping of cheesy potatoes in his hungry mouth. His taste buds were singing, and his entire being was on the verge of tears from sheer ecstasy. This is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted. He wiped the tears from his eyes and continued wolfing down his food. Elia chuckled as he added another plate of hot sandwiches to the table. My, what a flower. Eat as much as you like, my dear. There's plenty more. I usually cook a lot to feed this big guy over here. Mom. Sid flushed and scratched his head. I mean, Mom's cooking is good, but still it's not as mind-blowing as you're making it out to be. Come on, man. You didn't grow up with Hammer's dirty cooking. This is heavenly. You don't even know how good you've got it, do you? The other mercenaries don't cook. Cole stuffed half a sandwich down his throat and shrugged. They just throw things into the oven and hope for the best. Most of the time our dinner is just salad and burnt meat. Cole suddenly felt the weight shift in his pocket as Malice slithered out and onto the table. The black snake flicked his tongue curiously at the food before attempting to snatch a small piece of ham. Dude, what are you doing? The snake ignored and struggled at mouthing the ham for several moments before spitting it back out. Curse its horrid body. I cannot chew any of this delicious food. Puny mortal, you must eat in my stead. Are you crying? I was so looking forward to enjoy the pleasures of the material plane. Food and drink, sightseeing, and maybe a hot bath. This words cannot describe my utter distraught. The little snake uncurled and flopped his head melodramatically. Puny mortal, you must eat in my stead. Our senses are linked, so I am able to taste whatever you taste. Alas, it is not the same as eating myself, but it will have to do. Cole sighed and began buttering another slice of cheesy toast. Am I going to be compensated for my tour guide services? Your payment and the satisfaction of a job well done. Oh! Malice wiggled indignantly as Cole flicked a chunk of hot cheese at his face. Fool, you are wasting this precious food. The snake turned towards Ilya and Burnett and bowed deeply. Esteemed mortals, your culinary skills are truly awe-inspiring. Thank you for inviting us into your abode. The two old birds exchanged surprised looks. My, what a polite little pet you have there. Thank you for the kind words. It's gratifying to have my cheese-making skills finally be recognized. Cole glanced up between bites of food. Are you a cheesemaker? I haven't seen you eat a lick of the stuff since we got here. Renette's head slumped in deep melancholy. Indeed, I am a cheesemaker. Unless I was born with the curse of lactose intolerance and cannot even taste my own creations, at least not without dire repercussions. You chose to become a cheesemaker despite being unable to eat it? What drove you to do such a thing? Renette puffed out his chest feathers proudly. Sometimes life deals you an unfair hand of cards, and I cannot help but fight back out of spite. Cheese making is my passion. Few treasures in the world can equal the creamy goodness of well-made cheese. Let this be a lesson to you, young'uns. Never give up on your dreams, no matter the consequences you encounter. Speaking of which, I must take my leave. Axia's annual Firefly Festival begins tomorrow, and I must prepare my cheese cart for the occasion. If I manage to impress a few nobles with my exquisite cheese, I might finally get an investor for the cheese shop of my dreams. Sounds like a losing battle, honestly. Who's gonna invest in a lactose intolerant cheesemaker? Ow! Cole winced as Artemis kicked him under the table. Renette was already halfway out the door and didn't hear any of it. Farewell, young'uns. Thank you again for taking care of our little Sid. Dad? Yeah, he left. Ilya smiled as he made her way around the table to refill everyone's teacups. Your father is right. We were so worried when you said you wanted to become an adventurer. It's such a dangerous occupation. But now that we know you have such capable companions, I can worry a little less. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm still worried sick. Ilya reached out and clutched Artemis in Cole's hands tightly. Please take care of my little boy. He's my only son. I can't stand the thought of him getting hurt. Sid is a big, strong boy, but he's got a sensitive side and needs someone to look out for him. Won't you two humor an old bird and promise to look out for little Sid for me? Cole Artemis stared in shock. Ilya's eyes were furrowed in a deep, pleading anxiety. Artemis' chest hurt painfully with an ugly feeling, but she swallowed back down. Mom, don't do this in front of my new friends. Very well, Lady Ilya. Your compassion and concern for your son is truly inspiring. I pledge to support and protect Sid to the best of my ability. I swear upon my honor as a holy knight. Yeah. Once he said, Ilya let out an adoring coo. Oh, Sid, your friends are so cute. Sid buried his face in his bowl. Poets were grown. Any dignity of coolness I hoped to have in this adventuring party is dead. Don't sweat it, little baby city. You're safe with us. Sid tried to sob but choked as he accidentally inhaled a lungful of poets. As the party cheerfully continued wolfing down their food, Ilya made certain to speak with each of them privately. Now, who does he talk to first? Sid, dear. Dear Mom? Ilya smiled gently as he pulled Sid aside. Dear, I just wanted to tell you that I am very proud of your decision to become an adventurer. I'd like to apologize if I had been too discouraging before. I'm just very worried about you, but now that I know that you're in capable hands, I can worry a little less. Slightly less. Well, who am I kidding? I'm still worried out of my mind, but you must keep doing what makes you feel happy. Oh, thanks, Mom. You don't need to fuss so much, though. I mean, I got the greatest chosen and the son of the world's greatest mercenary on my team. I'm really sure I'll be fine. You're right. I just can't help but worry you, you know? I'm your mother, after all. But yes, you've done a great job in choosing your companions. Ilya's worried frown suddenly melted into a teasing smile. By the way, you're still very young. Why not? Oh, God, Mom, please don't give me the grandchildren talk now. Well, of course not. Whether or not you have children is solely your decision. But I'm just saying, you should take advantage of your youth while you've got it. Your new companions seem like good stock. Get out there, go on some dates, and experience some new things. Mom, don't make this weird. We just met yesterday. But plus, it ought to be tonight at the church. I'm pretty sure she's got an oath of celibacy or something. Well, what about Cole? He seems like a charming young man. What? No, why would I ever be into Cole? I'm not gay. Eli sweated doubtfully. You spent your entire childhood prattling on about that really buff and attractive mercenary man. That doesn't count. Really, you spent an awful amount of time fantasizing about the man's chest muscles, though. I'm serious, Mom. I'm 100% sure I'm not gay. That would be really weird. Yeah, say it louder. I'm sure you'll convince someone eventually. Again, I do not understand what is preventing you from being happy. Say that, Artie. Let him talk. Eli's brow furrowed with concern. Why are you getting so worked up about this? Said, I hope your father and I never gave you the impression that we disapproved. You're free to love whomever you choose. Really? I always thought, Sid, when did this come about? If there's something bothering you, please let me know. Well, Sid visited uncomfortably. Do you remember that prestigious academy that you sent me to when I was younger? You know, the one where you and Dad spent all your savings to pay for the tuition, and I ended up sucking really bad, and the school kicked me out? A deathly glare was across Ilya's face. Ah, yes, those teachers had the gall to claim you lacked any intellectual merit. The nerve. Well, I'll go back there. And give them peace of my mind. No, this isn't about the teachers. Sid scratched his head awkwardly. During my time there, the other students kind of picked on me a lot, specifically for crossing on the guys there. Not that I actually did, of course. I guess I just gave off that impression. A heartbroken look fell across Ilya's face as she clutched her chest. Oh, Sid, why didn't you tell us again about this? Well, I mean, I completely wasted you and Dad's life savings from getting expelled. I didn't want to disappoint you guys even more. Ilya smiled and rested a warm hand on her son's shoulder. Dear, you are never a disappointment. Please, whatever you choose to do, you have my full support, be it in matters of career or love. If you like this Cole fellow, go for it. Though you might want to keep They might want to keep on your toes. Bars tend to be prickly when you least expect it. You mean like physically prickly or... Oh no, it's a metaphor, dear. Although I once knew this bar who cast polymorph incorrectly in... Oh, never mind, that's highly inappropriate. Elia cleared her throat loudly. Now then, let us focus on a far more important topic. Elia smiled as she casually reached for a bottle on the kitchen table. Glass showered across the room as an utterly feral rage overtook her. Who hurt you? Those classmates of yours? I want names and addresses. Mom, please, you can't pick a fight with these people. Oh, don't you worry about me. Don't you worry about your old ma. I've killed a man or two back in my day. What? Please calm down. It was just some light bullying. Which is why we can't let them off the hook. What kind of message does that send? Bullying is okay so long as you don't get caught? I ain't having it. Now panic flooded through Sid's chest as he tried to ease his mother's back into her seat. Sure, maybe, but you don't have to be the person to do this. I have the advantage here. Either I get the shit out of them or they have to suffer through the social scrutiny of fighting an old lady. It's a win-win, baby. Army chipped in from across the room. Are we riding into battle? If so, you have my full support, Miss Strikewood. Count me in too. I kind of just want to see where this goes. Don't enable this. Everyone sit back down. As the party cheerfully continued wolfing down their food, Ilya made certain to speak to each of them privately. Now, who should she talk to first? I like Sid's mom. It's funny. Yeah, she go from calm and polite and kind to being full of rage in an instant. I really love Sid's parents. I wish more parents like that. But anyway, so we're gonna go. So, bartered magic, how exactly does it work? Ela had ushered Cole aside to a table lined with several glass bottles. The old bird's eyes beamed with enthusiasm. She was clearly thrilled to pass on her magical skills to a youngster. Cole couldn't help but smile reluctantly. A chance to be openly excited about magic, it was a nice feeling. See here, Cole, boss a peculiar class of magic users. We're not as flashy as those fireball shooting wizards, nor are we as supportive as the clerics with their healing spells. Our greatest strength is with our cunning minds and subtle misdirection. Elia clapped her hands together with a sly grin. Young man, I'm about to teach you the most useful spell in a bard's arsenal. Maze Hand. Cole squinted unimpressed. It's not just a weak cantrip that moves stuff around. Indeed, yet with a bit of creativity, this spell can easily save lives and turn battles. It's also very useful for cleaning up the kitchen and for other chores. The possibilities are endless. Ila's voice suddenly dipped dangerously low. Many years ago, I spotted a gang of neighborhood hooligans bullying my young son. He was just a wee child back then. In the power of May's hand, I visibly bitch-slapped those suckers from 30 feet away. Repeatedly. One as they might, those hooligans never escaped my grasp. And thus the legend of the bitch-slapping ghost persists amongst the Market District children to this day. You beat up a bunch of kids? Listen, dearie, you don't fuck with my son. I'm fully prepared to throw hands with a child if I must. Yeah, I mean, I would never do anything that would put Sid in danger. I'm just that kind of responsible boss. Go. Anyway, how does May's hand work? Eli gestured towards the kitchen table that was lined with bottles. Imagine within your mind the shape of a hand. Now reach out with your arcane magic and imagine that hand grasping one of those bottles. Ela flipped out her hand in demonstration. Soundlessly, one of the bottles began floating in the air as though lifted by an invisible force. Well, that's pretty cool. Keep in mind, dear, that maze hand is still a rather weak cantrip and can only lift about 5 pounds. Why don't you give it a try? Cole stepped forward, clenching and unclenching his hands self-consciously. Okay, just reach out for my hand, right? I got this. Cole raised an open palm and furrowed his brows. Wisps of magic flickered from his hand as he concentrated on a bottle on the table. One of the bottles abruptly toppled over and spilled cider onto the kitchen floor in a waterfall of ale. I did it, kinda. Ooh, sorry for the mess, Miss Strikewood. Excellent job for your first attempt, dearie. Don't even worry about it. Just keep practicing and you'll get the hang of it in no time. Ela magically vanished and cleaned the spill with a dismissive wave of her hand. Cole watched her casual spellcasting and fascination. Whoa, that's so cool. Still wish we could magically clean stuff back home. This would be useful. This would be so useful at the bar and the supply closets. I'm sure I could teach you that as well, young man. Cleaning objects is one of the functions of prestidigitation. No, it's not that. It's just my papa's got a pretty traditional mindset about magic. He's always going on about how magic is for the weak and all that good jazz. Elia raised her brow with a hint of amusement. Well, that's utter hogwash. Magic is a part of you, and that must be trained and mastered just like those muscles your father is so proud of. You owe it to yourself to nurture your strengths, dear. Why were you, wait a minute. Would you like me to give your father a firm talk? That could be quite persuasive. Cole almost snorted out a laugh before disguising it as a cough. You against my papa? He eyed the tiny woman doubtfully. Elia laughed and puffed up her feathers proudly. Oh, don't you worry about me, lad. I'm not afraid of a few buff men. I deal with worse every night within this very tavern. Give it some thought, thanks, Miss Strikewood. Would you mind if I, drop by occasionally for more magic lessons? Friends of my little Sid are always welcome here. Oh, I can't wait to teach you all the tricks I learned in my youth. We boys ought to stick together. Khan nodded eagerly. A place where he could be openly excited about magic. He felt a surprising amount of weight lift from his shoulders at the mere thought of it. As the party cheerfully continued wolfing down their food, Elia made certain to speak to each of them privately. Now, who should she talk to first? Waterby blinked and sat up straight as Elia approached her with a smile. Waterby, was it? I just wanted to say that it's wonderful to have you here. I'm very grateful and relieved to know such a capable knight will be working with my son. It's a great comfort to a stressed mother's heart. Waterby gulped nervously and bowed. You flatter me. I'm simply performing my duty. Oh dear. You look rather troubled since you have arrived here. I hope we are not making you feel uncomfortable. Not at all. Everyone here has been wonderful. Sorry if I appear glum. I just have a lot on my mind. I see. Well, sweetheart, if you ever need to talk to someone, this old bird's happy to lend an ear. Audrey bowed her head stiffly. You are very kind, Lady Elia. Amused laughter erupted from Elia as he covered her smiling face. Lady Elia, who's flattering who again? You can just call me Elia, dear. Artemis stumbled through her words as a self-conscious flush spread across her cheeks. I cannot possibly. Perhaps Miss Swikehood would be okay. I'm sorry if I am too forward. Sweetheart, you needn't apologize so much. Let me assure you that you are a wonderful guest. Sorry, I just. Artemis caught herself and snapped her mouth shut. I was just at a loss for words often. You are very different from what I imagined, Miss Swikewood. Huh, in what way? As an innkeeper, a bird, or a fellow lady? As a mother. A surprised look spread across Ila's face. Artemis stifled nervously. Apologies if that was too forward. Ilya laughed and waved a hand dismissively. Oh, it's fine. You're not the first person to mention it. When Aunt and I get it a lot actually. I meant that two tiny birds raising a hulking badger as their son is a rather humorous image. No, it's not about that. I just thought you would be more stern or strict. It is very bewildering to see everyone here conversing so casually. Are all families like this? Ilya's plumage drooped as he stared at Artemis silently for a moment. She then hastily leaned across the table to refill Artemis' tea and filled her plate with more bread. Are all families like this? I hope so, though I know firsthand that this is not always the case. Is everything alright, dear? Artemis took her teacup and stared into the steaming contents quietly. I confess that I recently got into an argument with my own mother and might be projecting, so what? We were rarely on good terms, but today I lost my temper and actually yelled back at her. That gas horror she felt in that moment in the outdoor cafe was overwhelming. Artemis sighed and took a deep sip of her tea. I've been failing non-stop in my duties lately, and now I'm afraid I just added fuel to the fire. Ilya stared at Artemis in bewilderment for a solid minute before bursting out in a fit of laughter. You're stressed out because you talked back to your mother for the first time? Oh my goodness, dear. You're truly too sweet for this cruel world. When I was your age, my mother and I were constantly at each other's throats, and my sister was much worse. Actually, you're what, 20 years old? I think we had already ran away from home at that point. You and your sister ran away from home? Yes, and then we stole a boat and sailed as far as the sea would take us. Ela smiled nostalgically and sighed. Listen to me, dear girl. Having the strength to stand up for yourself is a trait you should be immensely proud of. I know in our youth we always imagine our parents as these perfect people who automatically know what's best for you. Under hogwash. If I have learned anything from my time as both mother and daughter, it is that I know absolutely nothing and neither does anyone else. But you're a mother yourself. Surely you prefer your children to obey. Ela snorted humorously. Well, I prefer Sid take on a safer job, of course, but I also want my son to be happy. I want him to feel safe enough to speak his mind when something's bothering him. So when he told me he wanted to become an adventurer, I adjusted my expectations. Family is a conversation, dear. If all you do is order your children about, you're just an awful cattle driver who will end up dying alone one day. Just like my mother, Artemis just gaped, her mouth swimming aimlessly. Apologies, that came out more forcefully than I intended. She sat down next to Artemis and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Across Ela's aged face, wrinkled with many years of history, was a soft, sympathetic smile. I understand that guilt you must be feeling. But please remember that you deserve to be happy, and there is no shame in standing up for yourself in defense of happiness. I see. Thank you, Miss Strikewood. You have given me much to think about. Artemis cleared her throat. Her ears drooped timidly as she smiled up at Ela. Say, apologies if I'm being too forward yet again, but would it be alright if I come by the sparrow's roost again in the future. Your wise words are quite comforting. Eli laughed kindly. Of course, any friend of Sid is welcome under my roof. I look forward to speaking with you again, dear. As the party cheerfully continued wolfing down their food, Eli made certain to speak to each of them privately. Now, who should he speak to? Now, who should he talk to first? Okay. Moana's district, Bonebreaker Mercenary Company. Cole said Ornamy and Malice said their goodbyes to Ilya as the afternoon sun hovered over the heated summer sky. They made their way back to the Bonebreaker Guild to find the place surprisingly calmer than before. At least from the outside, there was a significant lack of drunken shouting and jeering. Alrighty, Papa and Hammers should have finished up their business by now. Are y'all ready to meet the great moral bonebreaker? Sid shuffled behind Cole nervously as he pushed open the heavy guild doors. This will be my first time meeting my hero in person. Do you think he'll like me? Ah. As soon as the door opened, a throwing axe sailed across the room and sank into the wooden wall inches above Sid's head. Moral Bonebreaker barked a booming laugh as he sat behind the bar while casually twirling a second axe in his hand. So this is it, huh? These are the little Sids who think they're worthy of working for my darling son. Well, think again. The entire building shook. Maul's voice piercing through every fiber of their being as he grinned at them like a predator surveying selects of fresh meat. He slammed his axe down into the bar, adding another wound among the sea of marks in the wood. This is the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. We accept the best and only the best. If you're not ready to go through hell and back, I suggest you hike your sorry little tails out of here while I still have the chance. Sid was suddenly very small and timid as he crouched behind Cole's tiny frame. I think I just peed a little. Ornamy also glanced back at Cole nervously. Some Bonebreaker, Bone. Ornamy also glanced back at Cole nervously. Sir Bonebreaker seems to have rather high standards. Do you think either of us will qualify? Cole grimaced at the two of them. Are you two actually scared right now? Of that? As if on cue, Hammers casually strutted into the room and gave the three of them a friendly wave. Hey folks, you must be Cole's new recruits. Welcome to the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. Don't mind the big oaf over here. He just spent the last hour practicing that speech hoping to impress you. Marvel's entire rowdy bravado collapsed with a look of utter heartbreaking betrayal. Hammy, you just ruined the magic. I was trying to look cool in front of Cole's new friends and you ruined it. Hammer shot the big hyena a venomous scowl. You know what else is ruined? Our new door frame. You just got it replaced. You couldn't just stick with a speech, could you? No. You just had to chuck an axe at them too. I get one chance to make a first impression, and I gotta make it big. Ornamy and Sid exchanged surprised looks as the two old hyenas continued squabbling like a married couple. The throwing axe embedded into the front door comically failed to reveal a dozen other gases from what were clearly practice throws. So this is the greatest warrior in the history of Axia. He has certainly been domesticated somewhat compared to all those tall tales. He would suddenly clear his throat loudly and turn towards the party. Hey, Henry, don't you go ignoring me again. Anyway, Artemy and Sid, feel free to make yourselves at home. I understand we'll be mainly training Sid today since he lacks any real combat experience and Artemy is already combat ready. Feel free to join the sparring matches if you so desire. We'll outfit Sid with a weapon that best suits your fighting style and go over the basics with you, step by step. Sounds good. As for Artemy, Cole had left a note explaining your mission with the church earlier. Rest assured that the Bonebreaker Guild and our network will aid you in your search for these gems. Thank you, Sir Hammers. I appreciate your professionalism. You mean his bossness? Hammers's commanding veneer wavered slightly as he saw Cole a hurt look. He shook it off and gave Artemy and Sid a welcoming smile. I also wanted to thank you, too, for taking care of Cole for us. And of course, apologize for any trouble he might have caused you. Artemy tried her best not to smile. It's quite alright, sir. Cole is great, and I have forgiven him for almost all his crimes against chivalry. Hey. Ah, yes, I fully understand. He can be a handful sometimes, but he's got a good heart underneath everything. I hear you now. The conversation carried on as though no one heard him. So I'm kind of surprised how supportive the guild is so far. All those bar tales make you guys sound like a rowdy crew of barbarians. Morrow barked another laugh and climbed over the bar to join him. Oh, don't get us wrong. We are a rowdy crew of barbarians. But loath as I am to admit it, prideful posturing can only get you so far. Those bar tales love to exaggerate the big bad hyena vibe of our guild, but what truly holds us together is a pack. We don't leave anyone behind, rookie or otherwise. You both are gonna be right at home here. We'll take good care of you. Sid's heart fluttered at Morrow's reassuring grin. So this was the face of his hero. Morrow locked eyes with him, and his grin suddenly turned mischievous. He slammed his axe into the bar again, shaking the building with a deafening boom. What did I just say about breaking Sid? Now enough chit-chat. Time to fight. You think I was kidding when I said to be ready for hell? We're gonna push you hard. That's the only real way to make a warrior out of you. Hurry up and move those lazy legs to the sparring room. Sid was in a cold sweat. Decisiveness was never his strong suit. The Badger had the habit of mulling hours or the simplest of choices. So when his childhood hero Morrow Bonebreaker dragged out crates upon crates of weapons for him to choose from, Sid felt his brain immediately circuit. Ah, come on, rookie. What are you getting so nervous for? We haven't even started drilling you yet. There's too many choices. What if I make the wrong one? Well, then you can just drop it and choose another one. Relax, boy. It ain't the end of the world. How about heavy axe? This was my favorite. Sid let out a yelp as Morrow dropped the massive double-bladed axe into his hands. The weapon almost slipped out of his grip as he scrambled to grab hold of it. Despite being called a heavy axe, it didn't feel particularly heavy. Sid strutted about experimentally. This one? I don't know. Would people think I'm trying to copycat you? Contrary to popular belief, I did not invent the axe, boy. Stop overthinking. There's not time for that on the battlefield. Give a few swings. Does it feel right in your hands? It feels a little too light, if I'm being honest. Morrow lets out another barking laugh and gave Sid a backslap that would have killed a lesser man. A heavy axe is too light for you, a man after my own heart. In that case, how about dual wielding? Two axes are certainly heavier than one. Sid yelled and scrambled to catch the two medium axes that Morrow threw at him. He twirled both weapons in his hands timidly before quickly setting them back down. I'm gonna be real honest, sir. I am not coordinated enough for these. I should have chopped my own tail off before hitting someone else. Good point. You do have that adorable bubbling look about you. Let's see, something heavy. Morrow tapped his chin as he pondered thoughtfully. Sid let out an amused chuckle as he watched the older hyena scratch his chin. Cole had the same habit whenever he was thinking hard about something. Despite the significant differences, these two were certainly father and son. Morrow let out a triumphant laugh and clapped his hands together excitedly. Ha! I know just the thing for you. It's a real special one right here. It's made by the same blacksmith who forged my signature Damascus steel great axe. I never got around to using it through, since it's a little too fancy for my taste. Don't you worry, there ain't no hand-me-down or something like that. It's the heaviest weapon in the Bone Breaker armory. Nothing else here could even pick it up. Sid gulped. Are you sure a Wookiee like me should have something so important? Of course. If you're working for my son, you're gonna have the best we can give you. I understand nothing less. Morrow waffled through several crates in the supply closets before returning with a grin. In his hands was a massive silver halberd with a soft blue cloth tied to its hilt. Sid felt his heart skip a beat. He grasped the long handle nervously. The metal felt cold to the touch but warmed quickly in his grip. This halberd was very heavy, incredibly so. An enchanted smile spread across Sid's face as he swung it around in wide arcs, strolling it fancifully, and while his arm before resting it on his shoulders. This halberd was heavy, but in his hands it felt perfect. It's perfect. Thank you so much, sir. I'll be sure to put it to good use. Good boy. Make sure you work hard to become worthy of this beaut. It's one of the best weapons in our arsenal. The blacksmith calls it the Atlanteus. Apparently it's got a few special abilities too. Like if you tug the handle just right. Suddenly let out a yelp as the halberd spasmed against his grip. In a sharp metallic clink, the handle instantly shortened and transformed the halberd into a large axe. Whoa, that's pretty handy. That's the reason why it's so damn heavy. Apparently this thing can transform into a lot of shapes. I never bothered to figure out how to use it though. I prefer my weapons to be a bit more straightforward. As if to demonstrate, Morrow unclasped the massive black great axe from his back. A feral grin spread across Morrow's face. Now that you got your weapon choice sorted out, let's see how well you use it. There was a silver blur as Morrow suddenly lunged forward. Sid barely had time to react. The squeezed Atlanteus halberd instantly extended to its original length, just in time to block Morrow's strike with a metallic clang. Morrow snarled and continued leaning into his swing. Sid felt himself being lifted off the ground and tossed across the room. Adrenaline pumped through Sid's veins as he scrambled back onto his feet while gripping his new halberd tightly. What? Right now? I thought you were going to teach me the basics first. There's no better teacher than paid experience. Look out, boy. You're in for a bumpy ride. Meanwhile, in the Bone Breaker Guild Tavern building, Hammers was giving Artemis a tour of the facilities while Cole complained loudly behind him. And back here are the supply closets. Hammers gave Artemis a wry look. Don't come back here, ever. Get rowdy, and this place becomes wildly inappropriate for a church night. Ought to be found. I assure you, Sir Hammers, I am quite prepared to deal with unruly co-workers. Here, Hammers, let her go where she wants. It'll be a learning experience. Hammers rubbed his temples and let out a tired sigh. Moving on, the sparring room is here in the Eastern Hall. That's where Marwa and Sid are training right now. Here you'll find our armory and battle equipment. While I know you're already trained in the art of combat, it doesn't hurt to get a little practice in. Sir Sid, are you okay? Artemis was forward, a healing spell already prepared in her glowing palm. She was stopped by a throwing axe sailing through the air and landing directly at her feet. Don't interrupt our lesson, lassie. Laura turned back towards Sid with a battle-added grin. Boy, is that all you got? Yeah, give me a sec. Hammer sighed and rolled his eyes. Hun, don't break him. You can't teach him anything. He's dead. A little rough housing never hurt anyone. Now get up. Sorry if you really got what it takes to be a bone breaker. Wait a second. Let me just think about this. You think your opponent's gonna just stop me, let you catch your breath? Think of your feet, boy. And Sid tried for the umpteenth time to land a single strike on Merrill. Naina leaned over to give Hammers a smooch on the cheek. Merrill, focus. Don't sweat it. I can multitask. At this point, Sid was assembling a collection of bruises as he panted breathlessly on the sparring room floor. Yolania slipped out his grip with a thud as the badger waved his hand in surrender. I think I might need a break. Despite the other beating Morrow had given him, the hyena laughed and gave Sid an approving pat on the head. Boy. Melania slipped out of his grip with a thud as the badger waved his hand in surrender. I think I might need a break. Despite the other beating Morrow had given him, the hyena laughed and gave Sid an approving pat on the head. Not bad at all. Out of all the new recruits in Bonebreaker history, you lasted the longest in your first training session. You make a fine party member for my darling son. Sid's ears perked up through his exhausted days. Really? You got talent, kiddo. Great natural-born strength and endurance. Your reflexes are nothing to scoff at either. Morrow seethed his axe and shrugged. But you are probably the clumsiest fighter I've ever seen. You tripped over your own feet more often than you managed to hit me. Oh. Don't feel discouraged, boy. You did well for your first time. Be proud of how far you've come and steel yourself for the road ahead. That is the attitude of a true warrior. Sid felt his heart flutter at his heels encouraging words. He nodded earnestly. Thank you, sir. It's been an honor. Mama flashed him another smile before turning to Hammers. The older hyena leaned forward and gave him yet another smooch on the cheek. Hiya, lovey. How was the tour for the night, lass? Did you miss me? Hammers sighed. I was gone for 15 minutes. Well, I missed you. Are you still angry about our ruined door frame? Because I promised I'll get that fixed up by the end of the week. Though he tried to hide it, a tiny smile quirked at the ears of Hammers' perpetual frown. I'll hold you to that. He turned to address their new recruits and noticed Artemis staring at the two of them curiously. Hmm? Something wrong? No, I was just part of my tactlessness. But are you and Sir Morrow married? Cole let out a bit of slough. Nope. Morrow laughed and hung an affectionate arm over Hermes' shoulder. Why do you ask, lassie? You think your church will finally bless our union? I did reach out to request a wedding ceremony once. They just slammed the door in my face. Artemis stiffened uncomfortably. Hermes gave her a sympathetic smile. Don't worry about it. There are no hard feelings. Morrow and I don't need a formal ceremony for our relationship. Behind him, Cole crossed his arms and saw Hermes an unimpressed glare. Hermes paused and glanced at Artemis thoughtfully. I understand that your church's teachings, I hope we are not making you uncomfortable. Not at all. You needn't apologize. Artemis smiled wistfully. I have been learning a lot about families today. I'm starting to realize that I know nothing about how things are supposed to be. Thus, I am in no position to judge. She nodded at Hermes and Morrow with a polite smile. You two are very sweet. It's rather refreshing to see. Well, that's good to hear. I was worried because of how miserable you looked this whole time. Miserable? Lass, you've been wearing that glum and gloomy look on your face since you walked into this building. Aren't you the greatest chosen or something? They say you're supposed to be this bright little ball of sunshine. What's the matter with you? I have... Yeah, you look dead inside. You know you didn't sleep at all last night, but you've been kind of a sad sack all day. My deepest apologies, there's a lot on my mind. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. The ever-present smile on Morrow's face slowly disappeared as he crouched down to face Artemis at eye level. What kind of thinking? If you're thinking about useful stuff, then go right ahead. If you're just thinking about how miserable you are, then drop it and find something better to do. Ain't nobody has ever thought themselves into happiness before. Hermes nudged the older hyena irritably. Morrow, be nice. What? I'm just telling her how it is. Feeling bad about feeling bad never helped anybody. How does one simply stop thinking about how horrifically unworthy they are? Artemis sighed, her gaze fixed on the floor. I've been failing my duties non-stop lately, and I've just got into a big fight with Her Excellency of the Church. Should this mission fail, I will lose my title as a courageous chosen. What will the people think of me then? I'm always unimpressive as a knight, let alone the chosen one. And I've been failing the simplest tasks I've been given. Artemis' face trembled as all her plaguing thoughts spilled outward in an incoherent ramble. I've been just terrible, getting arrested on my first day of work, dragging the knight commander to the consequences of my mistakes. Even my new friends, our first mission as an adventuring party was to fix my failures. Artemis' shoulder slumped. I'll never gain Her Excellency's approval at this rate. Maybe all those things she's been saying are true. Her breath was shaky as she let out a hoarse sigh. They say that speaking one's thoughts aloud would help ease the pain, but Artemis just felt worse now. She wiped away the wet tears at the edge of her eyes and blinked. Abruptly, she realized Morrow was crouching in front of her at eye level, staring inches away from her face. His face was an unreadable frown. His glass eyes glinted lightlessly in his socket as his other eyes seemed to peer straight into her core. Sir Morrow, what are you... Morrow suddenly lashed out with axe in hand. The blunt handle dug into Artemis' abdomen and knocked the air from her lungs as she was thrown across the room. The knight stumbled in the middle of the sparring area and struggled to stand. She hunched over coughing hoarsely. Mara Bonebreaker stepped into the sparring ring with a snarl. What does it mean of this? Stop talking. Draw your sword. Barnaby scarcely raised her blade in time to deflect another swing of Maul's axe. She leaped back onto her feet and hastily summoned her shield with a flash of arcane light. Maul watched her stumble into a battle stance with a grim smirk. Look at my eye, lass. How do you suppose I lost it? A hard-won battle, perhaps? Barnaby winced as she blocked another axe swing with her shield. No, I lost it when I was still a wee young lad. Mama reared back with a forceful kick. Barnaby felt the metal of her shield buckle as it took the brunt of the blow. Her legs were sinking as she was skidding backwards. My papa was a real ass of a man, always telling me I wouldn't make anything of myself. So I wanted to prove him wrong. I attempted a feat so massive and brave that he have no choice but to acknowledge me, to be proud of me. You know what happened? You succeeded, right? You're the great Mama Bonebreaker. Mama shook his head with a grin. I failed. Lost my eye for my efforts. And you know what my father did when he found me bleeding from my empty eye socket and barely breathing? He just scoffed and left me there. For some people, you're just never gonna be enough. Another swing, another block, Barnaby skidded back further. She felt the wall of the sparring room press up against her back. Gulping anxiously, she stared into Maul's farewell grin. You want to talk about fail your last? I, Maul Bonebreaker, have been failing non-stop my whole life. Every stop, every attempt, I've been a disappointment to someone. But you know what the difference is between you and me? I would never let anyone talk to me the way you're talking to yourself right now. Barnaby felt her chest lurch. She ducked under another swing of Maul's axe, the blade leaving a massive gash in the wall. She swung her sword low towards the hyena's knee, but Maul sidestepped it with ease. Ha! You still got some fight in you after all. That's it, lass. Face me. All that bullshit you keep thinking about. Pointless. Stand up and fight. Barnaby gritted her teeth and tried to bash Maul aside with her shield. The lost hyena took her blow head on away, laughed, and stepped her back. You hear that little voice in the back of your head, the one that's constantly whispering that you're a failure, that you've accomplished nothing throughout your sad, pathetic life. Kick in the dick and move on. You ain't got time to fight yourself while you're facing the entire world. Maul barked a laugh and twirled his axe in his hand. And you sure as hell ain't got time when you're facing me. Huh? I see. Barnaby felt the weight of her shoulder. Little she took a deep breath and stepped forward. In the rush of battle, that dreadful voice was drowned out by sheer adrenaline. A small comparative smile spread across her face as she picked herself off the floor. I, Barnaby Johanna Gontier, accept your challenge. The fear of battle added grin on Meryl's face grew even wider. Let's see what you got, lass. For a moment, the air hung still in the sparring room as the two faced each other. Then Barnaby charged. Merl reacted instinctively with his own strike, but she blocked it in the nick of time. The horse grind of metal against metal shook the air. Merl's massive axe dipped under it. Barnaby lunged forward as soon as she saw his grip slack. Her stance was perfect, with practiced precision as her sword sliced through the air. A slash, a vertical swing, followed by a thrust. Barnaby was a storm of swinging blades. And Mama was lazily sidestepping all of her attacks with ease. What is this? A dance recital? You can't use sword routines straight out of the church knight's playbook and also expect to hit me. I ate armies of church knights for breakfast back in my day. A frustrated growl rumbled from Ornaby's throat as he changed tactics. She lunged forward towards Marvel's left side. The hyena didn't even look in her direction as he casually twirled his axe, forcing her to dodge backwards. Going for my blind spot. It would be clever if every other opponent I faced didn't do the same thing. Ornaby felt her frustration boil over. Something within her snapped. The air suddenly crackled with a burst of lightning as Ornaby's eyes glowed. Arcane electricity glanced across the knight's sword and armor like furious spikes. Morrow raised an eyebrow with interest. You're not just a paladin, are you? A Tempest Domain cleric. That explains all the lightning. What a load of magic bullshit. Ornaby swung her sword. A wave of celestial lightning surged forward, burning through the air of the sparring room with a sharp scent of ozone. Morrow let out a laugh and swung his axe. The moment his blade made contact with the arcane lightning, all the magic within the room suddenly vanished. Ornaby felt her lungs burst as though someone had knocked the wind out of her. Surprise. Morrow's axe collided with her sword and sent it clattering across the room. With his arm, Ornaby stumbled backwards in defeat. The hyena stepped back and stroked his axe finally. The master skill. The finest in the land. There's a reason this is my favorite axe that cancels out magic at the slightest touch. He laughed triumphantly. The look on your face was precious. As to say you rely on your dinky little spells instead of fighting like a true warrior. Morrow was taken completely by surprise when Ornaby's fist connected with his face. His jaw groaned from the brute force of the punch. In that moment, Ornaby's face was utterly feral with battle-drunken frenzy. A jubilant and cathartic rage filled her veins as he hit Morrow with everything she had. The hyena stumbled backwards and tried to swing his axe in retaliation. Before he could blink, Ornaby leaped forward and sank her teeth into Morrow's forearm, forcing him to drop his weapon. He snarled, twisted back. He landed a leg square on the center of Ornaby's abdomen. The knight was sent flying across the room and collided with the wall in a nasty thud. And the sword hammers jumped into the center of the sparring ring. All right, that's enough, Colton said was to Ornaby's side with bewildered shock. Artie, what the hell was that? Are you okay? Ornaby blinked as she picked herself off the floor and trickle of Morrow's blood still dripping down her chin. She rubbed her eyes and blinked again, as though she just realized what happened. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. That was completely improper sparring etiquette. Her apology was interrupted by Morrow, who had doubled over laughing breathlessly on the sparring room floor. Yeah, holy shit. She bit me. Little fucker actually bit me. Morrow was almost in tears as he cackled. That must be the most fun fight I've seen in years. This one's got one hell of a spine. Morrow turned towards his son with a grin. Hey Cole, this was my favorite. Everyone stared blankly, utterly baffled. Hammers rubbed his temples aside. Okay, let's take a break. It turned out that taking a break meant being swept up by a wave of enthusiastic and supportive bone-breaking mercenary men who immediately showered them with food and beer. The mercenaries were attentive and chatty as they tended to the rookie's wounds with words of encouragement. Sid and Ornaby were literally carried to the lobby, tavern, dining area and were showered with cheerful applause. So I got your first beating from the captain, eh? That ought to put some hair on your chest. Plenty of guys come through here thinking they're hot side and then they get a hard reality check. Sid's ears drooped as he declined yet another tankard of beer. I'm not sure about that. I came here thinking I was pretty bad, and I got hit with the reality that I'm pretty darn bad. The older mercenary, tending to Sid's bruised arm, chuckled. Hi, it's all part of the process. You can't start getting good until you know where you're lacking, right? Don't let the captain's tough love fool you. He cares a great deal about his men. You take his advice to heart, you are sure to grow into a better warrior. Sid let out a doubtful mumble. Sitting beside him, Orderly frowned thoughtfully as he sipped from the only teacup in the entire Bonebreaker Guild tavern building. I was surprised. Despite his barbaric nature and dubious teaching methods, Sir Morrow is a rather wise man. I do feel better after our unorthodox battle. Letting loose and releasing all my pent-up feelings, it was truly cathartic. I certainly would have received a beating if I tried such a thing back at the Grand Cathedral. However, Army grimaced. I hope Sir Morrow is not upset that I lost control during our fight. Waves of snickers passed through the taverns that soon became outright laughter. That was utterly mad. Most of us never even managed to land a hit on the captain during our first sparring match with him. And you bit him, you the princely little knight. I never seen Morrow so gobsmacked. Ought to be found uncertainly. Is that good? Nothing in this guild makes sense. The crowd of mercenaries cackled in delight. The mercenary tending to their wounds grabbed a tankard and raised it with a grin. A toast to our new clueless rookie. This was met with a roar of cheers as men left and right raised their coats with fond glee. Utterly flushed and buried her face in her teacup. She had never been under such a positive spotlight before, and she didn't even know why. It was hard to know how to respond. She glanced towards Sid, who was staring joyously down his tankard. So, Sid, is something the matter? Oh, I'm fine. Just a little sore from the fight, that's all. He took a deep swig of his ale and quickly changed the subject. Say, where did Cole go? Haven't seen him in a while. Cole plopped down onto a nearby crate and watched expectantly as his father cleaned the blade of his great axe. So, what do you think, Papa? About my new crew. Cole tried to hide the nervous hints in his voice as he shifted in his seat. A wave of relief washed over him when Morrow chuckled and winked. You found yourself a fine pair of underlings, boy. They'll make excellent adventure partners for you. The older hyena scratched his chin thoughtfully as he holstered his axe. That buff badger said, was it? He's a good kid, got some real nice strength and superb reflexes. Kind of spineless, though. He's indecisive and a real pussover who has trouble standing up for himself. Morrow rested a hand on Cole's shoulder. As his leader, if you take good care of him, he's going to take good care of you. You're a leader now, my boy. Make sure to give your new underlings the guidance they need. Cole nodded slowly. Yeah, of course I will. Morrow's grin softened finally as he began bandaging the teeth marks on his forearm. As for that night lass, she's got guts, I'll give her that. Even without that bullshit magic, she's a force of nature. Good choice, my boy. However, Morrow paused. When you get to my age, you start to get a sense of people when you cross swords with them. That lass, she's got a lot of bottled up rage. Morrow sighed and shook his head. Reminds me of an awful lot of myself in my younger days. Be careful with that one. Cole winced as he remembered the pure wrath that poured from Orderby when she had confronted him in Clyde's office yesterday. How did you deal with it when you were younger? A teasing grin spread across Morrow's face. That's when I met my beautiful Hamlet. He truly tamed me into a better man. Cole scoffed and stuck out his tongue. I don't know, Papa. Of all the men in the world, you choose that? No man in the world is comparable to my Hammy. Morrow's tone suddenly dipped to a low rumble. I know you two have never seen eye to eye, but never questioned my love for him. I would be a fraction of the man I am today if not for Hamlet. If you say so. Oh, speaking of the devil. The door creaked open as Hammond poked his head inside. Hun, I need to have a word with Cole. But Marlon and Cole's eyebrows rose in surprise. I need to have a word with you. It's usually Hammond speak, for you're in big fucking trouble. Mallow mouthed a teasing good luck to Cole before slipping out of the room. Cole let out an irritated sigh as Hammond approached. Alrighty, what do you want? Hammond blatantly ignored Cole's quarrelsome tone and sat down across from him in a stern expression. There was an intensity in his gaze that left Cole feeling uncomfortable. So, you're a leader now. It was a question. Cole crossed his arms and turned up his nose. Yeah, I am. Where's it to you? Hammond's stern stare pierced right through him. This isn't just about you anymore. You have to do better. What are you talking about? Hammond let out a deep sigh and closed his eyes. Your father was a great and faithful leader throughout his time as a Baumburger Guild's captain. Everyone in this guild would happily lay down our lives for him. Do you know why? It's because he's done the same for us countless times. Bravo truly loves everyone here. He knows their passions, their concerns, their insecurities, and works hard to build everyone up with undying support. He cares. As a leader and a friend, you need to build a similar relationship with your own teammates to treat them better. Cole shifted nervously in his seat. Well, of course, I've been treating them well. You don't have to worry about that. No, there will be. Cole felt his stomach drop. How do you know about that? Wait. Are you going to rat me out? Emma shook his head calmly. No. You are a leader now. Admitting your wrongdoings will be your own responsibility. It's not my fault that those two are gullible little suckers. Plus, they beat me to a pulp if they knew about the things I did yesterday. Why do I have to? A snarl arose from Hammond's throat. Relationships are vulnerable. Relationships are vulnerable. Trust is a risk. If you're not willing to be either, then be alone. You cannot screw them over and then abandon them like you did to Clyde years ago. You're better than this. A red hot flash of anger bubbled up from Cole's chest. He glared at Hammond's, blood boiling and vision blurry with indignant rage. Who do you think you are? My dad? You don't know a fucking thing about me. What makes you think you can go parroting me like some sort of glorified nanny? You got no idea why Papa even puts up with you. Hammond's expression tightened and he sighed, completely unsurprised. Of course I know you, Cole. At least since you were a tiny crying bundle in diapers. I know you have a hard time being honest with yourself, and you push back when you feel vulnerable. Hammond paused. But I also know you can push past this and grow into a much better man. I care about you, Cole. Cole had barely processed Hammond's words before snapping back. Well, I don't give a damn about you. I know. And definitely silence filled the room. Cole managed to compose his racing heart in a lull. His animosity subsided enough the events to comprehend Hammond's words. As soon as his anger quelled, a twinge of guilt filled Cole's chest. He quickly swallowed it back down. Hammond stood out another quiet sigh before steadying and dusting off his bleachers. That's all I had to say for today. Let's move on, shall we? Gather up your new teammates. I need to debrief them on their mission to find the Princess 4 missing rubies. Cole watched the older hyena walk quietly out of the sparring room, his shoulders low with fatigue. A stubborn part of him wanted to dismiss everything that Hammond said, but that sharp twinge of guilt in his chest was becoming hard to ignore. A brief time later, Hammond managed to drag Artemis and Sid away from the overly friendly crowd of drunk mercenaries with some difficulty. Cole blinked as he approached. Artemis was absolutely beaming as though she had shared several entertaining conversations with a pleasant crowd. Sid, on the other hand, was soaking with his head hung low. What happened to you two? Oh, Cole, you still have joined us. Your fellow must still remember a wonderful comedy, such cheer and camaraderie. I never experienced anything like it. Sid shuffled across the room and next to slumped next to Cole. He grunted quietly. Yeah, they really liked how tough the chosen one is. Ma was real impressed with her. Cole squirted between Ornaby's oblivious grin and Sid's envious brooding. The air was thickened with awkward, one-sided tension, and Hammers told him to lead these two. What a mess he's found himself in. Speaking of Hammers, the older hyena completely avoided his gaze as he pulled a large chalkboard from a nearby supply closet. Pinned to the board was a large map of Axia, along with several scribbled notes and details of the fighting wing incident from yesterday. What is this, a classroom lecture? Hammer shrugged. I'm rather fond of using chalkboards to plan out future missions. He turned towards Autumn with a nod and gesture for her to sit. I like to iron out some details before I send out my network of eyes and ears to locate your rubies. Of course, that sounds reasonable. Cole tapped his feet impatiently as he stared at the tiny writing on the chalkboard. I thought you were supposed to be the brains behind the bomb breakers. Are you telling us you haven't figured anything out yet? Hamlet looked at him sharply. I should be asking you the same thing. His tone was steady and even. You were present during the fight, weren't you? As the leader of your adventuring party, I expect you to be attentive to your friends' battles. Fights are not merely a time to cross blades. You can gather a lot of information about people from the way they act during battle. Hammer sat down next to his chalkboard with arms crossed and gave Cole a hard stare. Now, you tell me, who is this cloak maze and what direction should this investigation go? Cole grumbled and sifted uncomfortably under Hammer's gaze. Was this some sort of test? Was Hammer trying to make him look bad in front of his new lackeys? Autumn instead glanced towards him expectantly, eagerly, waiting for his response. Cole cleared his throat and stared at the chalkboard. Sweat started to bead across his brow. If this was a test, he fully refused to give Hammers the satisfaction of seeing him fail. What can he analyze from yesterday's events? Well, let's start off with the obvious. The cloaked figure is a very powerful mage. Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. A mass mind control spell, counter spell, seal conjure elemental. They're probably versed in the wizardry class of magic, or maybe druid craft. No, wizardry is more likely. He nodded slowly as he slowly replayed yesterday's events in his mind. They also spoke down to everyone, calling them peasants and whatnot. Not to mention how they rambled on about how big and important they are. This makes us like our noble someone of a higher class. Cole closed his eyes and thought hard. What else? When I grabbed one of the rubies, they tackled me to the ground, and we wrestled for a little bit. They didn't feel very muscular or physically strong, probably someone on the scrawnier side. They stood at around 5'10", give or take. As for motives, I'm willing to bet that these rubies have magical or arcane properties. This mage of ours is someone who has a need for power or status, likely works alone too. They're familiar enough with the city to know about Clyde's fighting ring, so they're probably a native of Axia as well. Cole opened his eyes and suddenly realized everyone was staring at him. Impressive, Cole. Your deductive skills are quite formidable. Sid scratched his head sullenly. I kind of got mind controlled, so I don't remember any of this. Good to know my boss is a smart one, though. Carl grinned slightly and drank up all the praise, feeling his ego inflate slightly. And you know what the best part is? Tomorrow was the beginning of the city's Firefly Festival. Usually we wouldn't be able to just waltz into the noble court, but nobles and regular city folk alike will be participating. It's one of the few chances that the different classes of Axia will be intermingling casually. Food stalls, brawling matches, even a jousting tournament. It'll be the perfect opportunity for us to investigate and maybe befriend a few nobles. That's a sound strategy. Though I am worried if we'll be lucky enough to run into our mysterious cloaked maids among all the nobles at the festival. We don't need to be lucky. There's a small world among the Axian nobles. They're filled with gossip and news about one another. Even if we don't meet this maids directly, we can probably dig info about them or people who have been acting suspicious lately. Cole crossed his arms and faced Hammers with a smug grin. How's that for my leadership skills, eh? Hammers nodded with a small smile. Not bad at all. However, you're missing one crucial detail. He tapped the church district area on the map of Axia and traced the line to Rotten and Red's alleyway. How did his maids know that the Ruby Crown would end up in Clyde's ring yesterday? Everybody blinked in surprise. Artemis was supposed to deliver that crown directly to the royal family castle. However, she was tricked by a young street urchin who stole it and later sold it to Clyde. Even more suspiciously, this delivery was originally supposed to be made by someone else entirely. The task was assigned to Artemis later. The task was assigned to Artemis last minute by her knight commander. Hammers turned his gaze towards Artemis. I saw that someone inexperienced and quite gullible, if you allow me to say. Artemis winced but conceded with a defeated nod. Hammers stared at the map with a thoughtful squint. This leads us with several questions. How did the urchin know that Artemis would have something valuable enough to pawn off to Clyde? Furthermore, why was the maid so sure that the rubies would end up at the fighting ring? There's something fishy going on here. The older hyena turned towards the three young adventurers staring up at them. I suggest that you three take time to speak with the knight commander and find the street urchin. They might have some answers to what's truly happening behind the scenes. Army and Sid exchanged impressed looks. That made sense. I didn't even think this far ahead. Your intellect is truly something to be admired, Sir Hammers. I can see who Cole gets his cunning mind from. Cole spluttered indignantly and crossed his arms. Excuse me, Hammers never taught me shit. Artemis nodded shrewdly. They said the greatest teachers are able to impart wisdom without their pupils realizing. You're irritating me on purpose, aren't you? I do not see why you dislike the idea of benefiting from another's guidance. Yeah, I mean, Hammers sounds as smart as the tales say he is. Sid, you're supposed to be on my side. Huh? Sid scratched his head in bewilderment. What are we taking sides on? Hammers stood up and clapped his hands together. All right, kids, enough scrabbling. Why don't you three take the rest of the evening off? Artemis looked utterly disgusted. Take time off? But we're supposed to be working. You three fought in Clyde's fighting ring yesterday and got the shit kicked out of you by Maul today. That's enough to exhaust anyone. Use this time to rest up before the real work begins tomorrow. The three adventurers glanced at each other before nodding in agreement. Sounds like a plan. Like Hammer said, this is probably a good time for them to explore the city and speak to locals about recent events. Where should they start? So I gotta stop. All right, so both Hamas and Clyde are quite smart. I mean, well, definitely Hamas, but Cole was able to contribute a lot to the conversation about this hidden cloaked maze who took the ruby. And apparently this must be a noble because he talks like a noble, like insulting the people at the fighting ring, calling them lesser while he talks about himself as being important. Like, it's typical of nobles, like how he acts and how he talks to others. So that's what I figured since that scene in Hamas. I mean, in Cole kind of reinforced my thoughts himself when he said that. So they have to see Marlowe. Both both characters, Artemis and Sid, they both of them got to try against Marlowe, and while both of them lost, he was optimistic about them pointing out their strengths and their weaknesses. So, I mean, Sid, he has strength. He was able to outlast others who fought, who trained with Marlowe for the first time, but he got beat badly. And Artemis, she has combat experience, so by being a church knight, so she was able to hold her own against Marlowe, though she lost also. So, and Sid's mother gave all three of them good advice, and she taught Cole about different kinds of magic that made him. I mean, he was very impressed by Sid's mother's skills in magic, and he was very interested the whole time. And he made it known that she wasn't really keen on Sid becoming an adventurer. She does feel a little bit more secure with his new friends here. So she still has her concerns, but she's not going to go against what Sid wants because, as he said, he's a grown man. He can make his own decisions. And she told Artemis about her mother that, not all mothers are good. Not all mothers know everything. And that she should stand up for herself more towards her mother. I mean, not all, just because she's your mother doesn't mean she's perfect. I mean, she makes bad decisions and she does bad things too. So Sid's mother, Ilya, gave Artemis a lot of good advice about how to handle her mother, and she even talked about her past with her mother and how rough it was with them. So Ilya, Sid's mother, she was very helpful in giving all three of them some advice and a little bit of teasing also. So, alright, so we'll continue to taste this ballad next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.